There's never been a supplement more researched than multivitamins. We are deficient in these micronutrients, and we need to be taking a multivitamin. They didn't say we recommend it. They didn't say it's a good idea. They said it's a must for Americans to take a multivitamin. And really, because you need, vitamins and minerals on a daily basis.
Welcome to Real Women, Real Results, the podcast where we go beyond the reps and dive into what it really takes to live a stronger, healthier, and more confident life. I'm your host, Jamie Revelle, women's fitness expert and founder of W3Body Women's Training Gyms in Chicagoland. Each week, we'll bring you real stories, expert insights, and the tools you need to create real results. Let's get into it. Hey, everyone, and welcome back to Real Women, Real Results. My name is Jamie Revelle. I am your host, and today I have with me Coach Corey Smallwood. Welcome.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for being here and being my expert of the day. As today we're going to talk about supplements. Before we do that, can you tell us a little bit more about your background so people know if they should trust what you're telling them, really?
They shouldn't. So I've been doing this for 28 years. I've been in the fitness industry since 1997, I think, something like that, 96. And yeah, I wrote my very first term paper on the supplement creatine in 1999 in college. So I have been studying supplements for a very long time. I've been a trainer. I own my own gym. I consult with other gyms around the country. I'm a national speaker. So yeah, I only do fitness. Like that is that's what I love. I say if fitness ever goes away, I'm unemployable.
Well, I'm glad to have you here today as our expert and our guide in all things supplements and our resource. So typically this podcast interviews members, local wellness experts, but I also love to have other industry people and industry experts on to guide our members here. And this is a really great topic. We've done a webinar before and we've talked about some of this information, but now I'm really excited to have it as, again, a resource on the podcast for members or really anyone, women in particular, of course, who is our target market, can access it whenever and just listen to it and get that information. And sometimes we need those reminders to be like, okay, yes, I need to take my multivitamin consistently. So let's just dive right in. Tell us, what is a supplement?
So a supplement by definition is something to supplement what we're not getting. So it's to fill in the gaps. It's to, plug the holes of what we're not able to get from our daily food intake.
Mm-hmm. I guess this was the main question when we did the webinar and we asked the members beforehand, like, what do you guys want to know about? Or any question that you have, throw it at us. And this was the main one. How do you know what you need?
If you walk into a GNC or a vitamin shop or you follow any brand influencer, there's a million and one different supplements out there. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. The industry knows that people are looking for performance. They're looking to improve nutrition or health or fat loss or strength, whatever it is. And they know that they can, put supplements out there. And we're going to try to look at it. I don't want supplements to ever be looked at as a shortcut. A lot of times it is used as a shortcut, but I try to promote only the things that I feel are absolutely necessary as a base level, entry level into supplementation. So I look first and foremost is what is necessary for optimal health. And I always say start there. So a lot of times less is more. Could you get to some really expensive, crazy supplements out on the market? Yeah, but is that really what you should be taking? Probably not. So look at what could be missing in your diet. Look at what is going to help with your specific goals and ultimately improve or help get you towards optimal health.
And I know that we broke it up last time into two tiers, tier 1 and tier 2. Tier 1 has 5
Yes.
supplements that need to be taken and that will help you live optimally. Can you tell us? Well, I'll introduce what the 5 are. The 5 are, I'll do my part: multivitamin,
Yeah.
vitamin D, omega-3, protein, and creatine.
Yes.
And so let's jump into number one, first and foremost, super important, the multivitamin.
It
Tell us
is
why we need it.
It is the godfather of all supplements. There's never been a supplement more researched than multivitamins. It is something that back in, I want to say right around the 2000s, the Journal of American Medical Association published a report that said, as Americans, based off of our diet, we are deficient in these micronutrients and we need to be taking a multivitamin. They didn't say we recommend it. They didn't say it's a good idea. They said it's a must for Americans to take a multivitamin. And really, because you need, vitamins and minerals on a daily basis. There's a certain level, an RDV, recommended daily value, of potassium, of magnesium, of selenium, of riboflavin, of zinc, and vitamin A and B and C and D and E and F and G. And no, those aren't ones, but we can go all the way up to
What?
vitamin vitamin E, and you're just not going to get them from your diet. Ideally, would you? Yes, ideally you would. But you're just not eating the variety of foods. You're not. Can you get them? Yes. Let me put an asterisk there. Can you get them all from food? Yes, you could. You'd probably have to consume about 10,000 calories a day to do it. So to keep it in a reasonable amount of calories, you just are not going to be able to get all of them, 100% of your RDV. So you need to supplement your food. You need to supplement your diet, your nutritional intake with a multivitamin. If your goal is performance, if your goal is fat loss, if your goal is just optimal health, you have to start there. You have to.
Yeah, we're almost finished with a nutrition challenge. I think this is the third or fourth time I've run it. Super great results. I'm super proud of the cohort, but we talked a lot about them, like why they need to take a multivitamin, why they need to take it consistently. And most of the ladies in the challenge are looking for fat loss. And as I explained to them, that pretty much what you just said, but just taking it a little bit further, that if their body's deficient in something, they don't necessarily know what that is. And so they seek it out, and they seek it out through food, which will end up being extra calories when they actually want the opposite. Want and need the opposite for their goal. And so it just does not play in their favor if they don't take it. So it's really important.
And another thing with that is if your goal is fat loss, you first and foremost must be in a caloric deficit. So if you're already going to take in fewer calories, you're going to be taking in fewer vitamins and minerals.
Yeah.
You got to get them from somewhere. So
yeah, that's a great point.
So that I actually just heard somebody say that the other day, and I was like, gosh, that makes complete sense. So,
all right, number 2, vitamin D.
So vitamin D we get naturally. That is one of those supplements that, just being exposure to sun, red meat has a lot of vitamin D in it. But what do you hear all the time? Don't get a lot of exposure to the sun. Reduce your amount of red meat that you have in your diet. So over time, we have become extremely deficient in vitamin D. And to the point now where and I can't remember who published this, but they say 100% of Americans are vitamin D deficient. 100%.
Wow.
So you could go get blood levels taken today, and they'll come back and say, you're deficient in vitamin D. And that plays into a lot of energy. So when people they feel like, man, I'm just sluggish all the time. A lot of times it is vitamin D or vitamin B12. And so a lot of times you go, and if the vitamin D deficient, they're going to put you on a really high dose of vitamin D just to build back up your levels. And then they're going to put you on a vitamin D supplement. Now, I don't know why you wouldn't take a vitamin D supplement. They're teensy tiny. They're really, really small. So to add that in, multivitamin, first and foremost, start there. Does your multivitamin have vitamin D? It does. Does it have enough to offset the lack of vitamin D that you're getting from naturally through the environment? It does not. So you have to take a vitamin D supplement as well.
Awesome. Makes sense. Okay. Number 3, omega-3s.
Great for the brain. We got to have vitamin D. And they're seeing a lot of, omegas. And they're seeing a lot when they're doing research on some of the cognitive functions that we lose down the road. compared to some of the countries that in societies that eat a ton or consume a ton of foods that have natural vitamin D, omegas, especially the omega-3 fatty acids, that their cognition levels are higher. So we want to work on not just body health, but also brain health as well. So we need to have those omega-3s. And unless you're eating just a ton of salmon all the time or really fatty fish, you're not getting enough omegas.
Okay.
And as much as I love salmon, I'm still not eating it enough to replenish my body of what it needs in the omega-3s.
Protein. This is a tough one in terms of quantity.
Protein is tough in terms of quantity. I'm not getting the pushback anymore from people that say, oh, I don't need protein. I think everybody now is accepting the fact that we need protein, whether we're trying to build muscle, whether we're trying to feel fuller. If we are cutting our calories, a really easy way to feel fuller longer is to increase our protein. If your goal is fat loss, you have to increase your protein intake so that your muscle doesn't, get burned or we lose muscle mass while we are in our caloric deficit. So protein is huge for many reasons, even in the thermic effect of food. And that is how much energy it takes to break down a fat, a carb, or a protein. Protein has the highest thermic effect of food. So you're actually burning calories to even digest and utilize the protein that you've consumed. So the hard part is getting enough protein, right? So if you look at the research, just to maintain, just to live, you're looking at anywhere between 0.8 and 1.2 grams per kilogram of weight. Everybody should be hitting that. Like that should be start there tomorrow. If you want to really get to where you're strength training, where you're going on hikes and doing some physical activity, we're getting up to 0.75 to 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. Now, if you need to lose 50 pounds, don't add 50 extra grams of protein. Go to whatever your ideal body weight is and look at anywhere between 0.75 and 1 gram per pound of body weight. The only way that I can do that at 185 pounds is if I take a protein supplement. It's also, when you talk about proteins, when you get it through your foods, you're either going to get a fat associated with it or a carb associated with it, right? So salmon, awesome source of protein, also has high fat. Now, it's good fat, but it is higher in fat. So you're going to have those extra calories. If you do non-fat Greek yogurt, again, great source of protein, but it has carbohydrates. But a protein powder is 98% lean protein. So you get the protein benefit of it without having the extra fat and carbohydrates associated with it when you get it from food.
Awesome. Yeah. That's something that, again, we've been talking about in the nutrition challenge. Some of the ladies who have still gotten great results have lost 5 to 6 pounds within the first really 4 weeks completed. This is week 5, and they're still just like, I am not getting 100% to my protein goal. So we're trying to find those ways to get there. And most of the time, it's like they're right there with their fat and carb goal. So, okay, we can't add more yogurt or whatever. So we have to get it in a different way, especially so protein powders being the number one way, because protein bars, they're very good, but they're definitely usually 6 to 8 or so grams of fat. And then carbs can be up to even like 20 grams depending on the bar. So yeah, you've got to be really careful.
Yeah. And that's one of those that I always look when I work with my clients is I say, where are you currently with your protein intake? Are you at 30 grams a day? Great. Going to 130 grams is going to be impossible. But if I can take you from 30 grams to 50, and can we maintain that for, 1, 2, 3 weeks? And then I can take you to 50 to 70. And then I can take you. So slowly over time, we learn how to incorporate more protein in our diet. And the nice thing is when you do that, you feel fuller longer. So some of the other calories that you probably aren't necessarily interested in consuming anyways, those go away. And that's going to free up more room to get the extra protein in as well.
Mhm.
And there's so many
Yeah.
flavors of it now. You can get it to taste like Cinnamon Toast Crunch if you want. I mean, like there's a gazillion different flavors. You can get it vegan. You can get all kinds of ways of getting it. But protein, I will say, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So the higher quality of protein, the better digested protein, the ones that's not going to make you upset your stomach, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than the cheap stuff that you get from Costco.
Yeah. Yeah, quality matters for sure. Okay, so last of our top 5 is, I feel like, something that's super buzzy right now, which is creatine. I was not against it by any means. I will say researched through asking questions, the
For
same
a
question
very
really,
long time.
over and over and over. And there was really no reason why I don't know, why I didn't incorporate it sooner. And what really got me really interested was ultimately the positive effects that it has on brain health. But let's tell us all the things about creatine.
Well, I won't get too nerdy on it
Okay, yeah.
because, like I
Yeah.
said, 25 years ago, I did write a term paper on it. I did extensive research. It was so new at the time. I don't even think it was a monohydrate at the time, and it was causing bloating and things like that. But yeah, it was just so new age that I said, okay. And as far as from a performance world, being an athlete, I said, okay, what can get me that edge? And legally, I mean, you can take a lot of things that are not legal that'll give you a competitive edge, but this was something that came out and was like, wow, this is something that we naturally produce. We also get it through eating, again, red meats and things like that. But creatine now has become really popular, like you said, because of all the extra benefits that we're seeing when it comes to brain health, organ health, different functions like that. What creatine does is it produces energy, not energy like when you chug a Red Bull, but energy from the cellular level. So we get energy from ATP. ATP, once we use that energy, we have a waste product of ADP. When creatine, when you take creatine, it finds phosphagen atoms floating around in the body, grabs a hold of these phosphagen atoms, creates creatine phosphate. It then, creatine phosphate, finds these waste molecules, ADP, and says, hey, ADP, I got something to give you. I'm a nice guy. Take this phosphagen atom or take this phosphagen molecule. And the phosphagen then goes, psh, ADP. Now we are ATP and we can use that energy again. So think of it as an energy recycling plant. So we
Hmm.
always thought of it as from a muscular level, a cellular level when it comes to muscles. But guess what your brain needs to function? Energy. So it's not just the muscles that are using this ATP, it's also the brain that uses a lot of ATP. Your fingernails and your hair and all of that needs ATP to grow. If you're a child and you're building bone and you're stretching you're growing tendons and ligaments, all requires energy. So having this energy recycling plant available to you is, I mean, it's amazing. So highly, highly recommend creatine.
Yeah, I think that's what most people think about is, well, it's gonna help me build muscle, right? And ultimately, like, yes, it can, but it doesn't work so, like, actively like that. Like, it's more like a passive. Would
Correct.
you think of it that way?
Absolutely, absolutely,
Mhm.
and it's not like I take it right before my workout and now I can lift 20% heavier than I would if I didn't take it. It's not like that. It allows you to get, maybe you have more energy to get 1 or 2 extra reps in or 1 or 2 extra sets. You don't fatigue from the cellular level as readily as if you weren't taking creatine. So yeah, like I said, highly recommend it if you're trying to, whatever, anything performance wise, if you're trying to run a 5K, if you want to go on a, hike, if you want to swim better, if you want to build muscle, if you want to run faster, athletic performance, anything like that. But on top of all of that, just every other function within your body that requires energy, it's just going to help out there as well.
Well, yeah, I'm so glad that I started taking it, but as we've touched on with other supplements, like, consistency is super key, right? Like, it's not, "Oh, I'm gonna take it this day or not," and, or only, I've heard this, only on the days I work out. And I'm like, you should take it every day consistently. Put it in your water. I put it in my water with a scoop of electrolytes. Even though the creatine is odorless and tasteless, it's just, I don't know. I'm scared if there is a taste. So either way, the electrolytes mask it. So it's all good.
I feel with all of those, it's something that you take, just put it as a line item in your budget. You're going to take these forever.
Hmm.
When the time that I feel that, or I hear people recognize it most, the benefit, is when they stop taking it. And they're like, wow, I stopped taking my multivitamin for 2 months. I took it again. It's like, oh my gosh, what a difference. Or I've been taking creatine. I haven't taken it for a month. And it's like, man, my workouts just aren't the same. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not getting as much protein. I'm not full. I find myself snacking more. So it's when they stop taking it is when they notice more of the negative effects compared to I start taking vitamin D and I notice all the positive effects.
Yeah. And honestly, I haven't spoken to anyone who has taken, well, we'll say creatine, for example, who has taken creatine consistently and has been like, yeah, I haven't seen results.
Waste
So
of
I've
money.
asked,
No.
yeah, I have most of my coaches take it and love it. And same with like protein. If you really utilized and got enough protein to help you reach your goals, then no one's going to be like, "Oh no, it didn't help me reach my goals." Like if you do it correctly and consistently and hit the numbers you need to hit, then it's going to really aid in achieving whatever it is that you're looking to achieve. Like you said, building muscle, fat loss, etc. So,
Well, I love the fact that now women are talking about supplements. Back when
mhm.
I got started into fitness, supplements were a guy thing. And fat burners were what women took. And it was even when you went into GNC, it was all like, the guys went to this side and women went to this side. By the way, don't pay extra for women's creatine or women's protein, or all they do is slap a pink label on it and charge you 10 extra dollars for it. There's no difference,
Boo.
no difference whatsoever. But the fact that women are investing in their health and realizing that supplements are a big part of it. I love the fact that there's having this paradigm shift where women are getting involved in and taking supplementation. It's not just a guy thing. Creatine's not something for just guys, or protein's not something just for bodybuilders. It's for everybody and for optimal health.
Yeah, that's a big reason that we started recently our private label, our own supplement line. We contract with a company. It's all made in the US, but it's because I really love the products and believe in them. And I know that they're really clean. And, the standards that the company works under are very high. And to me, that's really important. Like we said, quality is really important. And I wanted to have something where the members could, why, if they're going out to buy it elsewhere, why not just get it here at your gym where it's a trusted product? You don't have to look through a million brands because oftentimes, like decision fatigue, you don't know what to get. But I also think that, like, I was talking to someone who she didn't really care. She just trusted that I was telling her like legitimate facts. And she's like, well, let me just get it from you because I know I need it and I could get it here. I could just go shop some at the store, but I know I'm also not gonna do that. So let me just leave here today with one.
And if you go to a GNC, you have some 22-year-old male that's working behind the desk that's getting a commission on something that he's going to pay you or sell you. So order it from your gym, somebody that you really do trust, that put in the research, and that's only going to give you what you need. You don't need to take everything. You need to take what you need for optimal health.
Yeah, and don't put it off, I guess, at the end of the
And
day.
don't put it off. Right. Start
Yeah.
start yesterday taking that
Yeah.
multivitamin.
Do that consistently, and then we can build from there. Fantastic. Well, those are our top 5. We'll just run through them again quickly. Multivitamin, vitamin D, omega-3, protein, and creatine. There's a few other ones that when we did the webinar, we put together a list, and this list was based on just some things that members were asking. A lot of the questions had to do with women in menopause or are perimenopausal, or some had to do with ingredients, things like that. So joint health. So we took these and we formed a tier 2 of supplements that can be taken once the tier 1, the first 5 that we mentioned, are taken and taken consistently. Once you've got that down and you want to add something that you feel like will really take your health or your performance up a notch, great. Then here are some that we would recommend. So greens, collagen, BCAAs, electrolytes, magnesium, and then glucosamine.
And magnesium is like sleep is so important. Sleep is so important for everything that you do. So magnesium glycinate, I'm starting to recommend to all of my clients. I mean, if you don't have any problem falling asleep, but most people are overly caffeinated, overly stressed, under rested. So it's hard for them to get to sleep. So something like a magnesium glycinate, terrific supplement, highly, highly recommend. But the first question I'm going to ask is, are you taking those other 5?
Yeah.
And are you doing it consistently? Because otherwise you're going to waste money on magnesium glycinate and you're going to take it here and there. Or a joint support formula. I mean, I take it every day. I know when I don't take it. You can hear my knees, a mile down the road. But again, start with the multivitamins. Start with some of the other ones. Greens, people love, collagen. I mean, they're all beneficial to optimal health. Why don't I have them in in tier 1? Well, it's hard enough to take 5 supplements consistently. Once you master that, then you can start adding in some of the other.
How young can you be to take magnesium?
uh,
Like, can I give it to my almost 2-year-old who hates sleeping?
I would refer to the pediatrician on
that one. Sure. Good answer.
No one's ever actually asked me that question. I'm going to have to do some research on that.
Well, I've seen just in like some Facebook mom groups that sometimes people will ask that, like, what do you recommend to get your kid to sleep?
Yeah.
And I just remember like thinking when I saw that like many months ago or a year ago or whatever, like, oh, that's weird. Their kid doesn't sleep and they're however many years old. And then look at me now. So
little whiskey on the gums will do them right.
Yeah, whatever you got to do.
Whatever you got to do.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Coach Corey, for being our expert here and our guide. I have this available to my members and whoever's listening as a resource. It's been a pleasure having you on. I'm sure we'll have you back if you would be so kind and willing on the next topic. And to everyone else, thank you for tuning in to Real Women, Real Results. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow the podcast and leave a review. It helps more women find these powerful stories and this amazing resource. If you're local and want to join our gym, try our 4-week trial. Check out train@w3body.com. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, w3body_Berwyn or w3body_Elmhurst for more strength, support, and community. See you next time. Thanks for tuning in to Real Women, Real Results. If you loved this episode, be sure to follow the podcast and leave a review. It helps more women find these powerful stories. If you're local and want to join our gym, check out our 4-week trial. Head to train@w3body.com for more info. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, w3body_Berwyn and w3body_Elmhurst for more strength, support, and community. See you next time.